Ten of Swords. Ace of Wands.
Is that good or bad? That bloke lying there with the daggers in his back doesn't look too flesh to me.
Good point. Well, this card can sometimes mean betrayal.
What, so literally being stabbed in the back?
Or sometimes it can mean hitting rock bottom.
Geez, Maz, it just gets better and better.
I thought tarot was meant to bring some good news.
The tarot is meant to guide you towards the truth, darling.
Oh.
But these two cards together can mean that you're about to go down a new path in your life. There you go.
Well, that's only telling me what I already know. What direction am I meant to take?
Well, the tarot's more about helping you create your own path. And these two cards together are telling you it's time to shake things up.
Well, I'm allowing myself to have a tarot reading. Does that count?
I think there are bigger changes in store for you, Irene.
But I have to figure out what they are.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Right, there's something I need to tell you, Sophie.
Yes, go for it.
It's been a pressing matter for quite a while.
Oh, no.
And my mum will correct you on it, but you've been saying my name wrong this whole time.
Oh, no. Is it
It's
Simon?
Simon.
Simon. Oh, I do apologise. Simon.
You should.
I will endeavour to correct it in future. You've been saying my name wrong as well, by the way.
Have I?
But whatever.
What should I have said?
It's Sophie.
Listeners, if you're up to date, that will make absolute sense.
If not, you think we're crazy.
They've lost it 9 seconds in. How are you? Are you okay?
Good. Happy Friday. It's Friday for us. Happy Friday. Oh, I feel good that it's Friday. Are you feeling good?
I am, yeah. Got the Friday feels.
Yeah. I've had the Friday feels since about 11 a.m. 11 a.m.
Put yourself on busy.
Yes, absolutely. All day long. Leave me alone. Yeah.
Do you ever do the thing where you go on your calendar on Teams and do Meet Now, so everyone else, it shows you as in a call?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
There you go. Use that one next time.
And then you're just in a call with yourself, echoing. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Just mute it. Just mute it and minimise it out of the way. Everybody else, they think you're in a call. Anyway.
But then they'll be like, who's she in a call with? Because my team's really small. And everyone else will be like, not on the phone. They'll be like, who's she talking to?
That's your problem.
It's an interviewer. I'm leaving.
I don't know, Sophie. You work the rest out. I don't know.
You've got to give me the help with the deviousness. I'm not good at being devious. Oh,
how's your week been? Good?
It's been awful. But it's over, so I'm glad.
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the bin. I've done that now. It's over. I've obviously enjoyed watching Homers and all that sort of stuff, but work can get in the bin this week, frankly.
Hopefully we cheer you up tonight then.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
All right, actually, I had quite an easy week. Not too bad.
Good.
And I went away last weekend, didn't I? I went to Harrogate.
Oh, you did? Yeah, a bit
posh. It was scorching weather, had an ice cream and came back.
Very nice.
Stayed overnight. But yeah, it was nice. It was a nice weekend away. Nice change. I don't do that very often. So it was a nice... Yeah. It was a nice... I tell you what, though, my friend was kicking off. Because the reason we booked it was at our previous job... This was a friend that I worked with, a friend come colleague.
Yeah.
Now, or should I say colleague come live friend. So we went on like a double, double date type thing because we both reached, in our previous employers, we've now both left, but we had a 10-year gift, when you've done 10 years service.
Oh, yes.
So we had a 10-year gift and it was an overnight stay in a hotel. But so and it's only worth so much, but you don't know how much it's worth. So you go on this sort of portal with the voucher that's all presented in a nice box and everything, it's all very nice. And you go on this thing and it's like, if you want to go anywhere half decent, you have to pay so much towards it. This hotel is available and it's this much. So we booked the hotel and paid £90 extra.
Yeah.
So, to stay in this hotel and all the rest of it. How we got great, got there, fine. There was nothing wrong with the hotel, but I've stayed in better. Do you know what I mean? For a price like that, yeah. But it wasn't. There was, like I said, there was nothing wrong with it. But then my friend saw the hotel on voucher for £70 bed and breakfast for one night. What? And she swears, on the paperwork when you're checking into the hotel, she swears that it said that the room rate was 120. And we had to put 92. So she was like, the whole time she was like, 10 years service and a £30 voucher. You can't stay in Blackpool for 30 quid. So it became like a bit of a running joke. So yeah, so it was a bit. It's naughty, that, isn't it?
That's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Lure you in with a 10-year present.
Well, won't be working there again, will you?
I know. I said if I had my time again, I'd have gone for the slow cooker.
What else is on the conveyor belt?
Oh dear. But I am up to date on Home and Away anyway. I got back in one piece and I'm up to date. Do you want your headlines?
I do.
Okay. Felicity has had enough of being the victim and takes matters into her own hands. Theo needs thawing after he froze at the album launch Q&A. Mac and Maz orchestrate a girls' night in for Irene. And Alf is struggling to hear everyone. I said Alf is struggling to hear everyone.
Please take the time to like, subscribe and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.
Right. Flick, she's avoiding Eden early in the week, isn't she? Doesn't want to face Eden. Or face what she's keeping, because she's going through all this whole secret business with the blackmailing, isn't she? As you'll remember.
Yeah.
And Eden finally tracks her down. She's worried about her, explains to her that money Cash gave you isn't pocket change. Like, I need you to sort of tell me what's going on. I'm worried about you. And she dismisses it, doesn't she? In fact, I say more than dismiss, she outright promises to her face, there's nothing sketchy going on, but we know more, don't we? And Tane, bless him, overhears this conversation. And this is when he learns then that Cash has given some money there, that 10k that she told, that she lied to Tane about, not paying. Turns out she paid it, and Tane is rightly upset about this. I wanted to touch on it quite early. We've spoken quite a lot about Tane and what he puts up with, to coin a phrase, and how good he is about it and all the rest of it. How did you feel about him learning this and his subsequent reaction to him finding out that she lied about this 10 grand?
It was awful, actually, wasn't it? Because he was just, I could tell it was him in the background, because you kind of saw this shoulder and this red shirt, didn't you? As Eden and then Flick sat at the bar talking about the money and Cash and everything. And I thought, I kept thinking, why are we seeing this random shoulder? And I thought, that's Tane, it's got to be.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I was bracing myself, because I thought, right, he's heard the whole thing then, because they're talking about this money and he's standing right behind them. We're about to see the reveal of her turn around and see his face, which is what happened. So my heart was in my throat at that point, because I thought, how's he going to react to this? And actually his reaction was kind of what I was expecting, but again, not an angry reaction, just disappointed. He just walked away, didn't he? He didn't want to have an argument, didn't want to have a go at her, because at the end of the day, he's still very protective of what's happened to her, and yelling at her is not going to be a good thing to do. So he kind of takes himself off, doesn't he? And I thought that was really good. That kind of you know, it let her realize that he's not happy with this, and she's you know, she's been caught, etc. But he didn't make a big scene. He's not a big scene person, is he? He's not like a shouting, screaming, yelling, and I quite like that, the fact that he's not. But God, I felt for him. I really did.
I did, and I got to a point where I'm a bit like, is this the straw that's going to break the camel's back? Do you know what I mean? I think you're right. I don't think it's the kind that's going to flip at her in a public restaurant, you know. And what's it going to achieve? Like, it's not, is it? And ultimately, they're in this position through no fault of their own. Even though, you know, we're bleating on about Flick. Flick has the evidence in the palm of her hand. Like, get on with it, girl. You know what I mean? It's so frustrating. And I've been saying, and I know you've been saying it as well last week or so. Like, this is going on a bit now. You know, like, I could understand a little bit at the beginning, but surely now she needs to think, where's the out here? You know, the price is 10,000. That's the third price this person's demanded, and she's paid it. And he even says to her, calmly, but, you know, with agitation, you cannot be that naive to think that it's all over. Like, you cannot be. Like, when is this going to end? And he's trying to get through to her. I suppose it's that knowing her and knowing how to handle her. You know, she's not the kind. She's just going to storm off. Kick off. So I think he was great as well. But I'm a bit like, there comes a point where this guy needs to, like, you know, what, I can't do anything more for you here. You know. What else can I do to help you? You're not listening. And just as all that's happening, there's another text. It's now 20 grand, and you're like, you know, when is she going to wake up and listen to her husband? You know, and take the advice of those around her. You know, I'm getting a little bit frustrated at this point personally. You know, and she messages him back and says, "I'll get you money, but my husband will see, so I'll need to bring it."
Oh, I know.
Meet up. So she arranges to meet the guy, which obviously gives us a very dramatic moment of the storyline. And it's interesting because maybe 2-3 weeks back, you and I said, rather than all this, like you know, all this bank transferring, normally in these types of situations when you see them on TV, it is normally an in-person jobby because there's no trail, is there? Like, I would have expected a bit of a meet-up with a bag of cash before now, actually.
No cops, or else, you know, the video goes online, all of that sort of stuff. I mean, you're right. There is a trail, which is obviously comes later. You know, they're managing to, it's evidence, isn't it? They're managing to piece it all together and collect this evidence to prove that it is this person. So he's a bit stupid, really. He obviously thought, he's so arrogant. He obviously thought he's going to get away with it. And you know, keep asking for the money until God knows what happens. I don't know whether he would have posted it online. I don't know whether you'd incriminate yourself. It's another evidence back to you, isn't it? It's, you know, I don't know whether he's stupid enough to do that. I think he's arrogant enough to think he'd get away with it and get away with blackmailing people. But I don't know whether he's quite stupid enough to actually put the video online and incriminate himself in that way.
It's just the ruling by fear of it is a possibility, isn't it, rather than him actually going ahead with it? Because as you say, he'd be banged to rights. You know, it'd lead him back to him no time, really, wouldn't it? Completely on side with that point. Next morning, Tane wakes up and she's gone, and there's a note: "I don't want to be the victim anymore," and she's gone. So he's panicked. He has, and this is that protective side you've just alluded to a moment ago, he's finally realised he's going to have to let cash in, run for cash. He's missing, shows him the note, lets cash in on everything. Okay. And they obviously go finding her. She's not answering her phone. Meanwhile, she's put in, well, it's not real money. It looks like she's cut up a load of magazines or something and lured him to this dustbin. And she's managed to get photographs of the guy. She looked like she was actually going to run him over. And I thought, the whole world is just cheering you on to do it, love.
Yeah. No, I think Cash should have been like, I saw nothing. Nothing happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have minded if
No.
she did, to be
No.
honest.
Just one more scumbag not on the street, isn't it? Basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, cut a long story short, he's soon apprehended, isn't he? And he's brought in, he's paraded in right in front of the victim. I mean, what the hell's going on here?
Yes. Well, there's been a lot of talk about this on social media this week.
Oh, right.
About the handling of this case by the cops and the inconsistencies, like how, Cash managed to track down his address and find out where he lived based on the phone records or whatever it was that he used to find it, but sent Rose round to actually arrest him because he said, I can't go and arrest him because I'm a brother and I don't want to do anything that's going to compromise the case. And I thought, yes, good, step back, good job. But then he knew that this guy was on the way. He knew that Rose had gone to arrest this person and he was on the way, but he let his sister stand in the middle of the police station while they dragged him in. And I just thought, what are you doing? And then in the next breath, he's bloody interviewing him and swabbing him. And I was like, I know it's not real. I know it's not real. I know it's not real. But it really wound me up that he at first, it sounded like he was going to take a step back and then he didn't. But actually, it led to some brilliant scenes, which we'll come on to, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
there's a definite poetic license involved
yes.
with the old investigation. The police have always been like this in Yabby Creek.
Yeah.
Useful as a chocolate fire guard. They are. Chocolate teapot.
Oh, dear.
So yeah, and I will. And do you know, you read all these statistics, don't you, about how many, rape convictions there are and all the rest of it, and how starkingly low that is, in relation to the amount of crimes that are committed. And I have a feeling this is going to unwind in court if we get to that point, because it's too blatant. It's way too blatant. And Cash is really struggling with, he's really grappled with solving this case for his sister, hasn't he? He's been working morning, noon and night. And we see later on, he's really beating himself up about not just Felicity, but also the other victims that have been left waiting. One had been waiting 6 years. She thought the police forgot about her when he contacted her, because they find other victims, don't they, in his phone, and and loads of unsolved cases of this thing. So it opens a whole can of worms, and Cash really takes it hard. So I have a feeling, Cash, through Cash's sort of misjudgment and letting his feelings take over, he's going to jeopardize some sort of conviction. I just got a really bad feeling that that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Way too many moments where Rose is like, I'm watching you like a hawk. He's like, I know. I'm thinking that's a bit blatant, that. Am I supposed to be making note of this?
Is it foreshadowing? I know, I've been worried about the same thing. I mean, I just think he's far too close to it, especially because he told the bloody guy, when he was interviewing him and the guy was being all cocky, like, oh yeah, she loved it, she wanted it, it was consensual, it was just two adults, that chick wanted it. And he goes, that chick is my sister. And I thought, no, don't tell him, because if that guy's got any smarts about him, his lawyer, when he gets lawyered up, he's going to say to him, okay, well, the copper that interviewed me and swabbed me and has been, taking my statement or whatever, he's the chick's sister. Surely that puts casts a whole doubt on the credibility of the evidence that's been collected, the interview that's been done. You'd start to get scrutiny of everything that Cash has done. And at that point, I was thinking he probably has messed up somewhere. And now he knows it's his sister. He's going to throw that back in his face. That really did make me go, oh no, please, why are you telling him that? Like, why are you giving him ammo to use in court? I mean, I don't know whether it'll come to that or not, but
yet to be seen. But it certainly seems like it's leading that way at this early stage, doesn't it? Is it Jeremy? Is it the blackmailer, Jeremy?
Oh, I've just been calling him Smugface, but yeah.
Jeremy, I think. He even says it, my lawyer will get me off this.
He's so cocky, isn't he?
During that smarmy, that scene you're talking about, and he's like refusing to give his DNA, and he's like, you don't have a child. I mean, and Cash, Nick Cartwright, what a performance in this episode, man. Like,
he's been great all week, actually. I think someone else said this on Twitter already. I've actually really enjoyed, I mean, obviously he's a good actor, we know that, but I have really enjoyed the performances he's done this week. I love Bad Cash. I love the fact that he goes, he's not this sort of, you know, he's a do-gooder a bit too often, you know, a bit too robotic, a bit of a do-gooder. The character, I mean, not the actor, but the character comes across as a bit too clean, a bit too, I know he's a cop, you know, but when he goes rogue, when he has all these scenes where he's, you know, the scenes with Eden this week have been great, the scenes with Cash have been great, the scenes with the attacker, that scene where, you know, we see inside Cash's head and like that fantasy that he wants to grab him and smash his face into the table. I watched that a couple of times because I just enjoyed that scene so much. I thought, yes, it's it's so satisfying, even though, you know, it's not real, you know, because he's just thinking that's what he'd like to do to him. He doesn't actually do it to him. But I think he's been great. I love this. They need to give Nick more of these storylines where you get to see that side of him that he can do really well, and not this, you know, nicey next door boy.
Can you imagine if Cash had the anger management issue storyline and not Justin? I think that would have been much more enjoyable.
You're right, actually. I think he would have. I think that would have been really good.
I think he could have, and then I think that could have been really good. And obviously, with the job he's in as well, you know, there's loads of repercussions as well as on the back of it. Yeah, I think that could have been good. He's very good at it. He's just wound up like a coil, is what I've written down here.
He was. But he did the table flip the other week, didn't he? So flip that table, which you know, friend of the pod, Marty, told us that he threw it through the wall. He had to edit it out in post. So we've seen that, and that was a really, really powerful scene, really, really well acted scene. I just think he's great when he's like allowed to push the boundaries a bit and not just be boy next door, goody copper, you know, meets up with his girlfriend for a beer and salt, goes home and watches the TV. You know, when he gets that extra bit that he gets to play around with, and it must be more fun to play Bad Cash than it, you know, to play Good Cash as well.
Yeah.
I think we need to see more of it. I'm not saying we need a corrupt cop. We've had loads of corrupt cops in the Bay, but just give him more emotional storylines, even if it's a personal thing. You know, a lot of the storylines he gets are because of Flick, aren't they? I think he doesn't have one of his own. I think they need to give him something of his own to get his teeth into.
I agree. Well, he's hitting the bottle now, isn't he?
I know.
You know, and he's, you know, standing in the shower all forlorn, and you know, he's Eden. You know, he's keeping his distance from Eden a bit. Is it? Well, he's there, but he's distant. If that makes any sense. So I don't know. We're going on this whole self-blaming route. It could go either way right now, but I'm open to seeing it if we see more of that side of him.
Yeah.
Because it's way more enjoyable than him just ordering coffee on the way to work.
Absolutely. I mean, even drunk Cash, like, you know, party Cash was great as well. You know, that was something different that we didn't see. I loved party Cash. I'm not saying he has to be miserable. I just think give him something that's not just going to work, I think, and drinking coffee in the diner. Yeah. We've been saying that for ages, though, haven't we, since the Jasmine relationship, because we got bored of them two being very, very dull.
That's
together,
true.
Didn't we? Yeah.
We did. Very true. I'm glad he's got new material. Right, it's somebody else who needs new material, Kirby. So that's unfair. That's unfair. I just needed to say something to segue into the next point.
That was hilarious.
She's apologised to Theo about blooming time because she's been behaving. We went through it on your say last week. We haven't seen. She's not winning the favour of the audience, is she, at the moment? No. She is impossible. So she apologised, which I thought was long overdue. You know, she blames it all on Bob. Oh, I wasn't ready. Wasn't ready for a relationship social. I'm thinking, no, I'm sorry. You knew that was time ago. And okay, you can reflect on it, but don't try and justify that you've been a cow to Theo because of somebody else who's not here to defend themselves.
A year ago.
That did not wash with me.
No.
I'm sorry.
So what was going on in the last 11 months? So the last 11 months, her and Theo have been, tight as anything, getting on really well, like House on Fire, really coupley, writing songs together, enjoying life together. The last month or so, she's been horrendous. So why is it now that she suddenly realised that she got together with him too fast and that she's not really over all the stuff with Bob that made her so, mistrustful of men or whatever this storyline is? Because it's like, I still don't really understand what's wrong with her. What is her beef? I don't get it. But
well, for me, it seems to be this whole Justin's back and he's taken power back off her. It's the only thing I can put it down to, because like you say, where's it come from? And I'm just thinking the only thing I can see is that she's now no longer the puppet master, like, because she was covering all that side of the band, wasn't she, beforehand? And last week she's doing this whole, well, straight professional. Like, I just want to zip it, woman. Justin finally tells them that he's got the Palais Metro, like,
ooh,
must be a very good place.
Never heard of it, but yeah,
I'm sure it's famous. Must be over there. A good venue, music venue, but it's happening tonight. Remember, that's where we left off last week with Girls as well. They had to cancel. That's this album is being launched exactly 2 hours from now. So luckily the mix was nearly done. Oh my God, that was handy.
Very handy.
Yeah. And
it takes months normally.
It's happening tonight. Get on board. In a nutshell. And they've got no name. They've got no artwork. They've got no look. They've got no strategy, no marketing. No, I'm thinking, what on earth? And you were saying last week, this is doomed. Like, this is doomed before it's even off the ground. But it seems to go ahead quite...
they pulled it off.
Without a hitch, yeah.
I'd say they pulled it off. I wouldn't say it was 100% successful, but they definitely pulled off an album launch, didn't they? So I was surprised.
Well, looked like any other gig to me. Sounds like the album's digital. There'll be no signed LPs,
No.
It's all digital, which is fair enough. Modern world and all the rest of it, dead easy. The album launch itself to me looked like any other gig, and I was thinking, what's been all the drama about? Other than getting the press there, and they seem to be able to get there at the drop of a hat anyway. So, like, what was the drama all about in the end? And there's this Q&A, isn't there? It's quite an awkward Q&A. The press are out for blood. They've overheard Brie, slagging Mercedes off under her breath. So they're running with that story instead of the success about the band. Is this album still doomed? The press seemed less interested in it, more interested in
the beef.
The beef. Yeah.
That's more of a clickbait headline, isn't it, than album really good. Lyric launch album despite feud with violinist. That's more. You'd click on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true.
It's more interesting. I mean, when I say interesting, I don't mean like fascinating.
Marginally.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they did pull it off. I think obviously Theo in the Q&A after they'd asked about the beef. What's the beef with the violinist? They were already a little bit, on side, weren't they? A bit like, oh, how do you know about this? What's going on? Why are you asking about this? Why are you not asking about the album? And then they go to Theo and say, what happened with you? You've got no experience of being in a band before, so, are you nervous? How do you feel about it? And he said nothing, did he? And she was kind of like, oh, I think we've got our answer. So I felt so sorry for him at that point. I knew it was going to happen though, and because we read out something about Theo chokes at the launch in first look last week, and I thought, well, he's got through the songs okay, so it's got to be the Q&A that's going to go wrong. So I was waiting for it at this point, but
I was
it was pretty obvious that it was going to happen. I did feel for him.
And who steps in but the old ex-girlfriend, and she seems to have herself right together, knows exactly what to say. They seem to lap it up as well, don't they? The old rags. So I'm wondering now whether we're at a point where, because we've been guessing about a band breakup, haven't we, for a little while. We've been sort of talking. Are we trying to undo this band? 12 months down the line. So I'm sort of trying to make it happen in my mind. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to work out how that would happen, and because I've got it in my mind, it's happening, and I'm wondering now whether Kirby is going. There's going to be a bit of a power tussle here because Kirby's taking over a bit, and she's been too used to sort of ruling the roost a bit, and controlling it. Whether that's going to start, hacking the others off a bit. Don't know.
Yeah, it might do. Yeah, that could be. I don't think that's gone away because her personality's not changed back to what it was a few months ago, has it? She's still quite fiery, quite angry at the world. And I don't know whether we've heard the last of Mercedes. I know she's gone, but the fact that she was brought up at the press conference again, we've not forgotten about her. And also, they've made this massive deal about having Mercedes on the live album, the recordings and whatever. And now when people go and see the band live, they're not going to sound like the album because they don't have the violinist. And I think that's really weird.
I do. Yeah, that is weird, actually.
It's a really weird decision to make, to say we have to have a violinist on our tracks. It's what makes our sound pop. And then you go and see them live and it's like, well, it doesn't sound the same as the album. I think that's a really weird thing to do.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. Song Prakash sounded good, didn't it?
That always sounds good. That's my favourite one. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to hear that again. I started singing it to Chris and he was not happy.
Was just like,
singing along to it.
Shush.
It was like, what the hell? How do you even know the words? I was like, I've heard it so many times.
Well, we've only heard the same 3 lines. Not hard to learn a lyric song either, really. They're quite catchy.
Catchy, yeah, that's it. So let's see. It might not just be the press out for blood. There might be a bit of infighting going on, and I'm sure we'll all be itching to see it. Right. Excuse me. Irene and Maz. So, spit it out, Dal. What's on your mind? Says Irene to Maz. And she's talking about, because Marilyn's got it in her mind now. She feels really bad, doesn't she? That Irene's a poor little lonely old woman, and she feels sorry for her. So she's offering to go out for dinner one night and all the rest of it. Come over to my house for a mani and a tarot. And that's it. Irene doesn't want the charity. She's quite, you're thinking of me as your sad, lonely old friend. And I'm thinking, I sort of see that. I think that would be my reaction, if I was in Irene's shoes. I think I'd be a bit like, if it was something we did often, fair enough. But now you want me to come over for a manic. I've never done that before. Like, it's not something we do often. Why now?
And you wouldn't have offered it if I hadn't said I was lonely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel genuine, does it? That's the problem.
No, even though the meaning is probably Marilyn, what I mean? Yeah, I'm not really buying it, and I don't think Irene is. And then she goes home, doesn't she, Irene, to a lonely, quiet house and a good Scrabble board.
Solitude. She spells out the only word on the Scrabble board, and it's solitude. It nearly broke me. That nearly broke me. How dare you?
Yeah, crying into your brew.
Oh, you don't want to be crying at 6:45 of the evening on a Wednesday.
Good a time as any. Good a time as any.
Oh, it was awful. I felt so bad for her.
Now, this is going on. She's there in solitude with no one to play with. And just thinking of that, I'll just come back to that. Like, next time I'm in the house alone, I think I might try something like that. Start rearranging the letters on the fridge.
It'll turn into Ouija if you're not careful. It'll start moving on its own.
Stop it.
Most haunted. I'm planting the seeds in your head so you get a poltergeist in your house.
I've got to stop it.
What was that noise? Scrabble board spelling out Coastal News. Coastal News.
Right. moving on. Marilyn's doing something I didn't quite agree with over at Salt. She's going in there and she's telling Mac all about it. I thought, Maz in a big mouth, you know.
I know, and it's just off the back of the week where, she's just learned that the whole Irene thing was because Irene didn't want her gossiping. She said, well, if you just asked me instead of gossiping behind my back, which I hate people talking about me behind my back and whispering and gossiping and rumours. And what's she doing? She's gone straight to Mac and started gossiping. I was like, you have not learned your lesson, woman.
I know. Have you noticed these days, Marilyn never does.
No, she doesn't.
Never, ever learns. She never... I feel like she's listening, but she's...
Not really listening. Not taking it on
hearing.
Board. Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's a trait I'm warming to. She's one of my favourites of all time. But it's something about her that doesn't sit right with me, that.
It's not how she used to be, is it? She's always been very, very mindful and very thoughtful and very empathetic. That was her whole USP, wasn't it, really? That she is very empathetic. And I think she's lost a bit of that. I don't know whether it's, like you say, it's on purpose and her character's been changed to fit these kind of storylines. But it doesn't... When you've watched this show, when you've seen Marilyn for 30-odd years, you're just like, that's not what she'd do.
I mean, I know you're going to change, aren't you, as you grow?
Yeah.
We're not all the same as we are when we're 20. Do you know what I mean?
No,
and I get
but
that.
your morals don't.
Well, that's true. And I don't know if some of these actions that Marilyn has these days sits with Marilyn's image. I really don't. And it's fine if that's the way her character goes. It gives us something else about her character. We don't have to like everything about it, do we?
No. Yeah, true.
It gives us something to psychoanalyze on a Friday night. And of course, Mac has a better idea. She's coming with her. So this turns into like a bit of a trip from Mac and Maz over to Irene's house when she's just sitting there in silence, staring at the wall. So Irene opens the door to find them both there with food and things, and Mac's a bit like, I can't go, She doesn't want the sort of pity, does she? But she does sort of warm up to it, and she lets them in, and they have a nice meal, and she realises she's had a good time, and they have a nice evening, nice girly evening. Marilyn gets out the tarot and she does a reading, and and it's just a bit of a giggle. And it was a nice evening, but she's realising, Irene, that she needs something in her life, something else, because at home it's too quiet for her. She suggests going to Yabby Creek to learn Italian.
Yes. And then maybe going to Italy, and then that's when she sort of goes, oh yeah, what will I do with it? I can go to Yabby Creek and learn Italian, but what am I going to do with that knowledge? Am I going to go to Italy? I think she should. I think she should get on a...
She could have a storyline where she falls in love with her Italian tutor.
Oh,
and he's 30 years her junior.
I'm up for this. Yes.
Wouldn't that be good? See?
Yeah.
If you're listening, make it happen, writers. There is a group on.
There is.
Our listener Jacob found it. Yabby Creek in group. Italian lessons there. 1995. Bargain. Down in Yabby Creek's got everything. So get down there and get signed up, girl, and get flirting with Marco, or whatever his name probably is. Thinking thoughts on where we go next with this, like other than Italian lessons, which was probably just a passive comment, but we've run with it.
I think the fact that they've mentioned boarders and renters and tenants, and I don't know how many different words for people staying in your house, Irene. I think the fact that we've mentioned that several times now in several scenes, and she keeps saying, I've lived on my own for a year now and not had any tenants or any boarders or whatever. I think we're due a newcomer or somebody from the Bay that needs to move out and into Irene's.
She's getting away from Stray. Coming her way.
I think it's trying to prepare us for a new face or for a new person to move out of somewhere else and move in with Irene. I can't think who it would be if it was a current cast member. I've been trying to rack my brains. Apart from Marilyn getting away from Rue when Rue comes back from hospital. That's all I can think.
Yeah, because Rue's going to be a little bit annoyed, I reckon. Rightly so. Blown up. Yeah, you could be right. And actually, I'm loving it because we're back at Irene's house. The set's back up.
Yay!
My favourite house on Home and Away, the beach house.
Yeah.
If we can get more action back in there on a regular, bring it on. It's one of my favourite sets, and it means Irene will be in the centre.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely being set up for an Irene story here, aren't we? And they're always delicious.
They
always delicious.
As delicious as that beef lasagna that she left in the oven for 2 days.
Now listen, I saw you chatting with a listener.
I did.
Saying that you would go for it.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think I said it's not very often I get cooked for. So, if someone's cooking for me and they're willing to dish it up and I won't have to lift a finger, I probably would eat a burnt lasagna.
Yeah, and the crispy cheese is the best bit.
It is. Yeah, it's true.
It's like on the cottage pie or whatever. The crispy cheese on the top.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you always pick that bit off first, don't you, and eat it.
I mean, 2 days in the oven, it's not, yeah. Might need the dentist afterwards, but yeah. Now, Marley, after a load of nonsense about him not being happy about the way Xander does his lessons, it has a bit of a photo shoot with Rose to promote the board shop. Which I hate the name still, Manta boards. I thought it was quite clever on screen, actually. That was quite a fun way to start an episode. The way that was, framed with all the pictures and different shots on the screen. I thought that was quite cool. Different way to start the day, I would say. Yeah. Caught my eye. And after all that, his mum... Very modern,
as we were talking about very recently on Your Say on the Bay. Very modern use of technology, social media.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, as some on Facebook think so.
Too modern.
Bring back to high school. No.
Bring back fostering.
Oh God, what have you done? His mum sees it.
I'm only saying what the people are saying. I'm only saying.
Mum's embraced social media.
She has. She's been all over the socials.
Vicky_H there.
Who we may or may not have looked up on Instagram.
That poor Chinese lady's unbeknownst to her.
Oh dear, yeah, it wasn't the same.
She's got a sea of Coastal News listeners on her way this weekend. Do you know what? In a minute, remind me. I'm going to go on and follow and see what happens. Anyway.
You'll get done for stalking. Cyber stalker.
Give the next storyline idea. So Marley, Mum's obviously got questions. Remember, Mum wasn't told that Marley moved to Summer Bay. It was it was Alendra, not Alandra.
Not Elandra. Elandra. Elandra.
Make sure you get it
by the sea or something. Yeah.
Consummated by the sea. You forgot the important.
Marley's mum's a bit of a go, isn't she, with her stories about how she conceived her children? Oh dear.
I was going to say let's play a game of what we'd have to call our children, but that's going to be a bit personal.
Pinot Grigio.
Here's my little baby back seat.
God.
This is my beautiful daughter, South Pier. And her twin sister, Tiger.
Oh God, Tiger.
Nightclub name or whatever.
Blimey.
Oh God.
All sorts. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I'm not going to go there actually. Better not.
Someone should have bought that poor woman a baby names book because she was just calling her babes after wherever they were consumed.
Consumed?
Not consumed.
That's a whole different storyline. Consumed. Nando's baby. Oh, dying.
Little Perry.
That's a good name. This is good as good a name as Marley, isn't it?
So tasty, I named it twice. Oh.
What have we done? We've gone to the bad place. This is the bad place. Oh dear.
I'm just going to move on.
Apologies,
Marley introduces Rose to Vicky and Alendra. I don't know how to say Alendra now. I think I'm doing it wrong.
I think it's how we pronounce it, as Elandra. I think she was saying Elandra, wasn't she?
Well, I don't know. To me, she was saying the same thing.
She was saying it like
Anyway.
someone from London would say it, like Elandra, whereas we would say Elandra, wouldn't we?
All right. Like the Queen's English RP.
It's the Bath glass
God,
thing,
yeah.
isn't it?
There's an R in it, and there isn't.
There's no
Okay.
R.
Okay. Now you've said it like that, I understand now. So, so they meet up in a lovely spot, have a bit of a picnic. Bit frosty the initial reception, wasn't it? She's a bit annoyed, is Vicky, about things, but she soon warms up to Rose, and they get to talking, don't they? And it all seems like it's going well. Gorgeous scenes, I thought, these, and we have what is, I'm going to use the word diversity, but it's a great thing to celebrate, actually, that Home and Away is doing this, and including a family like Marley's family, because it's really important to share those stories and to educate a bit as well, about diversity in Australia. And I thought these were gorgeous scenes, did you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually got a tweet from a friend of the pod, Marty, who is an editor on the show, because I tweeted something about how, a bit flippant to be honest, about how I didn't understand why Marley's mum would be so anti her grown-up son, having a life, going to the Bay, getting a job there, a business there essentially, and having a girlfriend. I was because it's so unrelatable to me. My family's more like flee the nest already. When I was 18, it was like, oh my God, are you still here? Get out, that kind of thing. It wasn't, I didn't have that kind of. Obviously we're close, but I didn't have that kind of, the family unit is what you stay with. And I was pushed to go and travel and go off to uni and live my own life, whereas I don't think Marley was. And now that it's been explained to me by Marty that this is more of an Aboriginal culture thing, where the kids kind of play a more active role with the parents and stay close, and they don't kind of do what Marley's did. Marley's kind of broken the mold a little bit by moving away from the family town and moving away to the Bay, and that would have caused a bit of an upset for his mum and everything, and which is why this has all happened. And obviously she's very cross with him when we see her. I'm quite scared of her already. But now I'm understanding why Marley didn't want to tell her, because I'm like, God, she is scary. Like, I'm a bit scared of her. Like, I probably wouldn't have told her I've got a girlfriend either. So it's really interesting to see that, because it hadn't really crossed my mind, because from a very isolated naive point of view, from thinking about my life, I was thinking that this is really weird. He's an adult, let him do what he wants, why is it a big deal? But now, having had that explained to me, I'm like, okay, I get it now. And that's really important, and that's what this show's about, isn't it? Because we've had insights into the Maori culture through the Paratas, and now we're getting the Aboriginal side of things from Marley's family. So I think this is really good. I think we needed it. I think I'm glad we're seeing more of Marley, because there's some stuff with Marley that I've been like, I don't really understand him as much as I think I should do. And now I'm hoping some of those answers will come from meeting his mum.
Yeah, me too. I feel exactly the same. And I think I'm hoping, and I'm actually quite excited now to learn to grow to love him.
Yes.
You know, like, I think this is the moment now. You know, we talk about all the time, we never really like new characters on Home and Away. It takes ages to get to like them.
Yeah.
And then once you do, you like love them. I
Yeah.
think this is going to be a classic moment now, and I think
Yeah.
this. I'm putting a lot on Vicky to be the catalyst here now. You know, I feel like we might have a bit of a culture clash type storyline. She says to him tonight, doesn't she? You know, if your dad could see you now, you know, and I thought that what a thing to say, like that guilt and that blame. But then I'm thinking, it's almost he's broken out, hasn't he? And he's doing things that, you know, in the culture you and I were brought up in would be like, what's wrong with you? It's completely normal, you know, like he's not doing anything wrong. He's not. Why is that shameful? Why is that bad? So we're being educated as well, and he's doing these things that his peers are doing, coming from a similar culture.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think this is going to be very interesting if done really well. And I think it will be. I think it'll be done really well and really sensitively. The answer we've been waiting for months about why Marley doesn't like police looks like it's coming. Because when Vicky learns that Rose is a cop, she runs a mile.
Yeah. We haven't seen the reasoning yet, have we? But there was a little clip at the end of the 6:30 p.m. episode on Friday in the trailer where I think Alandra says to Rose, has Marley told you about our family and, you know, our beef with cops? And she says, oh, no, you don't trust them. And she goes, right, yeah, there's stuff you need to know. So we're going to find out next week, aren't we, what the deal is?
And I'm really glad, because that was bugging me. Do you remember that was bugging me for ages? And that is something about him I really wanted to know. Why was that a problem?
Yeah.
And you can almost piece it together now. Why Marley had this sort of inner battle with, I really like her, but she's a cop. So because he called the whole thing off at one point because of it.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned that tonight, didn't they? Because Rose said something like, oh, when we got back together, and Vicky says, oh, you broke up. And I was like, well, yeah, because they got together. Then he found out that she was a cop, and then he dumped her, and then he didn't talk to her. And then she managed to sort of convince him and say, you know, I don't know what's happened before, but give me a chance. We're not all bad. And then they got back together, didn't they? So, yeah. And I think that was the first time they broke up. I think they've broken up twice, actually. But that was the first time they kind of got together and then they didn't get together. And then they got together again and didn't get together. So it's been a bit rocky.
Yeah.
But it was a huge, huge deal. And we talked about it for a couple of episodes on the pod at the time. And then it was never mentioned again, was it?
And obviously, you and I have spoken quite openly about our struggles on feeling anything for these two. We really needed this extra layer, I feel.
Yes.
I think we really needed this. It came at the right time, because we've all just given up on them, haven't we, really?
It gives it a new dynamic, doesn't it? Because we're finding them a bit boring and the chemistry's not really there. But if there's now it feels like more of a Romeo and Juliet kind of story where the family doesn't want them together, and you know, they're saying, Marley, you can't date her, and he's going to probably carry on dating her anyway. That gives it at least an interesting tangent to the relationship that we're not finding that exciting as a unit on its own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is it. Absolutely. Right, we've got time just to visit Alf and his medical issues here. Now, every scene with Alf this week, I've just been thinking about what your reaction is to that scene. Well, what does Sophie think of this? What does Sophie? Oh, I wonder what Sophie thought when she watched this.
Sophie's heartbroken. Oh,
I mean,
nobody warns you about the grief that you feel seeing the characters on the TV that you love get old. It makes me sad.
We're talking, of course, about Alf's hearing. He's been having trouble hearing things. Like, this sort of hit me like a train, like out of nowhere.
Same.
You know, he seemed to be having conversations fine when we last saw him last week. But it seems he's been struggling, and John's noticed, Marley's noticed, and they're all talking about how he's not paying attention. He's very grumpy. And you're like, what is going on? He's yelling at Martha on the phone, and he's yelling at this, yelling at John, and you're thinking, what? Calm down, man. What is going on? Like, Do you know what I mean? Like, take a cheese. You're going to have another heart attack. There's another telly on the list, you know?
Don't. Yeah.
And John tries to speak to Marilyn about it, who doesn't really believe him at first, and then sort of does a little testing of her own and realizes he's only picking up what she's saying when he's able to see her, you know, lip read and all the other sort of body language and all that other stuff that actually you do unconsciously, you know, as part of language. You know, when she's got her back to him, he can't hear a thing. He doesn't hear the blooming, what's it called, honk.
The Polaris, yeah.
The Polaris doesn't hear that behind him.
No.
What is going on here? Where's this come from?
I don't know. It's
death.
very, very strange. Like you say, it's come out of nowhere. Like 2 weeks ago, not a clue that Alf had got a hearing problem. And now all of a sudden, he can't use the phone to talk to Martha because he can't hear her. He can't hear John and Marley when they're asking him to sign for Marley's parcel. He can't hear Marilyn when she's got her back to him. When you don't lose your hearing overnight, this is, you know, if we're led to believe that this is an age-related storyline, that he's got to that age now where he's a little bit older, his hearing's starting to go, as it does with many of us, you know, it's a normal part of life, isn't it? So it's not going to happen overnight, is it? Or am I being ignorant?
No, and you start questioning, you know, have I missed things? You know, has there been occasions where he's asked someone to repeat themselves and I've just not even noticed? You know, I've been going over it and over it the last couple of days, thinking, have I missed the clues here?
Well, I watch him like an absolute hawk, and I haven't seen it come in. So I don't know.
Right. Well, that puts me, you know, that makes me feel a bit better. I don't know what this is about, whether it's just for giving him a story's sake, I don't know, but
is it because he's in the bay and they've got nothing else to give him because Rue's not there, so there's no Rue and Alf scenes anymore, so they've got to give him a storyline to keep him up, because otherwise what's he going to do, sit in the diner all day drinking tea?
Well,
I don't know. For a change. But normally he'd be getting involved with whatever drama Rue's involved with, wouldn't he? But that's
true.
There's nothing going on there at the moment because she's not there. It's really weird that he's even in the bay and he's not with Martha or Rue. So
it's a story that can easily be fixed with an hearing aid as well.
Exactly. It's a short-term storyline.
Do you think? I wonder if they're writing this in. Is Ray having problems? Have you seen anything?
I haven't. No, I haven't. No, I'll Google it later and see if I can find anything. But I haven't seen anything. So maybe he in real life. But then hearing aids nowadays, you know, you don't see them.
That's true. Yeah.
They're very discreet these days, aren't they? So you know, like back in the day, you'd have to, you know, if an actor had a hearing aid, you'd have to write it into the show because they were visible, weren't they? But I think these days you can get stuff that's really discreet and you can barely see them. So I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
There was somebody I used to work with who had a hearing aid and she couldn't hear anything in front, but if you were behind her, she could hear every word. Behind her,
really?
You couldn't talk about her.
Can't talk about behind her back, literally.
She'd hear it, but in front, she couldn't hear a thing if you were in front of her.
So you can funny that, to her face, but not to her back. Oh, that's so random.
So hopefully it's not too tough, because, you know, Alf's a bit sensitive reaction I'm feeling here on the pod if Alf is really struggling with this.
It's just that reminder that he's getting on a bit, and I'm not ready to let him go. You know, it's when you see your parents aging or your grandparents aging, and you're just like, oh no, like it just makes you feel sad. And I've told you for ages, I'm not ready to let Mr. Stewart go. He is, you know, my TV granddad. So it does make me sad to see him aging on screen, if not in real life.
Oh, and you know I don't share the same level of sentiment.
I know. But if it was Irene or Marilyn or somebody, and, you know, that whole Irene storyline with the loneliness, you know, if she started bawling her eyes out in her house and getting, you know, very visibly upset about being lonely and isolated, I'm sure that would pull your heartstrings, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Si, it's that time again. I feel like we need, I think we need Lyric to write as a little jingle for USA on the Bay so that we can introduce it with a little, musical interlude. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Do you think?
Yeah.
It'll probably go something like, "Your say on the bay, yay, yay, yay."
That's not enough notes hit there. You got to go, whoa.
Your say on the bay. Yeah.
You make me fall apart with your comments on Twitter. Yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready for Your Say on the Bay? Another round. So
I think so.
Yeah. Ready. If anybody does want to do a little jingle for us for Your Say on the Bay, up for that. Anybody wants to send us one in. I'm not very musical at all, as you can tell, and I have no talent whatsoever. So if anybody else wants to go,
email one in. We'll pick the papers. Yeah,
definitely. So for anyone who's new here, this is Your Say on the Bay. This is where we look at what you think about the episodes that have just aired this week for Home and Away, wherever you've watched them, on My5 or 5 Star or Channel 5. What we do... Ooh.
What is boo in Channel 5?
Oh, boo! I said ooh. Boo. Yes. So we're on all the socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Threads, YouTube, and we look at what you post on the socials, more importantly. And we tweet along on Twitter, so we're still calling it Twitter. We watch the show at 6:30 p.m. Monday to Friday on 5 Star here in the UK, and we do a tweet along. So anybody that wants to get involved, come and talk to us on the hashtag Home and Away, talk about what you're thinking about the show, chip in. We've had loads of you this week. It's been really good. Chipping in on the conversation. So I've been looking at what you've been saying online, and I'm going to read some of the comments out to Si, because you don't know what I've picked, do you?
No. Completely blind.
Surprise!
I get very excited.
Surprise!
I'm sitting up. I'm sitting up right here and everything. So can we do more Scylla impressions, please?
Surprise! I can't actually do a very good Scylla impression, but I'll try. I'll work on it.
We'll tell you it's good.
I can't do any accents. I'm going to do my own accent. That's about it.
Have you got a Laura comment?
Laura comment. I wonder where you were going with that then. I was like, based on our previous off-air conversation, I thought we were going somewhere else. But no. So I've got a few topics to talk to you about this week. So the first topic is Flick. So obviously Flick, because this storyline is still rumbling on. This blackmail storyline this week has come to a head, hasn't it? So for the last, I think, 2... Oh no, don't go there with the puns, because I'll lose it. Apologies, already lost it. The last couple of episodes that we've done, we've talked about the blackmail story on Your Say on the Bay, and we've talked about how it started off as such a good story, the sexual assault storyline. It's a horrible thing to say that it's a good storyline, because it's an awful topic. But it got so much praise. That first week of this storyline got so much praise on social media. The episodes at Battle of the Bands, the episode in the hospital where she was with Bree and she was, getting the sexual assault kit, the testing done at hospital. Everybody was praising those episodes and saying how good they were, how well portrayed they were by Jackie. So we started off really strong in terms of, the audience being on board with the storyline. Then the last couple of weeks, I've been reading out a lot of comments on Your Say on the Bay from people saying that they're frustrated now that it's turned into this salacious blackmail storyline that's cheapened the storyline. And, why have they done this? Why have they exaggerated it? This week, okay, some of these comments are still going, I'll be honest. Some of these, comments about we didn't need the blackmail, etc. But because this week we've seen these really good scenes of Flick, taking control back, because last week a lot of the comments were saying, why is she paying this guy? Why is she pandering to him? This week she took a stance. She said, I'm not going to be the victim anymore. And she did something really brave or stupid, possibly a bit of both. And, lured him into that trap, got the pictures, and then, has now told Cash the whole thing. And we've had loads of people commenting this week on Jackie's performance of these scenes and saying just how brilliant she's been and what a great performance she's done. So I'm going to read out some of these comments because I think it's really important that we acknowledge this. So on Facebook, they put that video of her behind the steering wheel when Cash and Tane turn up, and she's going, I got him, you know, and showing the pictures, I got him. So they showed this on Facebook, and lots of people commented on the video. So Sarah Jane on Facebook said she really is a fabulous actress. Julie says she's been brilliant in this storyline. Melanie says she breaks my heart. Catherine says she's an amazing actress. Jeanette says, what an amazing actress, such a heartbreaking storyline, very difficult to watch. I'm so pleased they caught him. Sarah says, I love Flick and Tane. I'm so glad that they're going to bring that monster down. I hope Cash doesn't get into trouble for doing what he's done. Hard to remember that sometimes this is not a real story. It is for some people. I think that's why it's hitting home with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Dee says, well, I don't know why you didn't trust your brother, but your bravery is commendable. Go girl for fighting back. We should never let the bad guys win. Olwyn says her acting skills are amazing. I was in bits. Well done, Jackie.
Comment after comment about how good the performance has been.
Loads. And Michelle says Fistie's acting is amazing. This storyline, she deserves many awards for acting skills. So this is only, I think I only picked about 10 comments, but there was so many comments saying the same thing, that Jackie's performance of this storyline has won people over again. You know, they started to wane in the middle with the blackmail things and when she was paying him off and everything else, but the fact that she's done the Flick thing, she's come back, she's fighting, she's on top again. And it's won people around, and it's just, I think it's really important to acknowledge, because she is such a fabulous actress, and she's so good at these scenes, and lots of people are saying it.
She is, and I'll be gutted if she doesn't get that Inside Soap Award.
Yeah, when is that? Because the voting closed ages ago, so I don't know when they've announced the winner.
I'll be gutted if she doesn't, and she definitely next year, come hell or high water, needs that Logie.
She needs to get nominated, absolutely. She didn't even get nominated this year. That was a travesty, really. She should have.
Because looking at this, well, if she was nominated, she'd have landslided it. Looking at some of these, I mean, I know we're only looking at one very small part of the internet.
Yeah.
But, it's good that her hard work and her, her portrayal. So her raw portrayal has got so much acknowledgement, because it deserves it.
Absolutely, yeah. So the second topic is her brother Cash. So Cash, what are you doing? Why are you interviewing your sister's attacker? Is this compromisation? Is this too risky? These are the questions I was asking on Twitter this week. You know, why is he interviewing this scumbag? What if this scumbag lawyers up and then, you know, he now knows that Cash is, you know, the brother of the victim? What if he uses that against them? What if he turns on them and says, you know, well, the way that my interview was conducted was you know, inadmissible to court. The way that he gathered the evidence was inadmissible. You know, there's loads of things that you could argue, because he's got too close to this case. So I tweeted this in the week. We've had a few people responding. So Faye came back. She said, I've literally just said this out loud. This would never happen in real life. I mean, I know we have to take this with a pinch of salt. It's a soap. It's Home and Away. You know, the drama, etc. So, you know, it's not real life. But people do get frustrated, because I think these days people watch a lot of crime drama and true crime as well. We see a lot of this kind of stuff in lots of programs, and when it's so starkly different in Home and Away, the protocols and the processes by the police in Home and Away are so different to other entertainment shows. It feels really obvious, doesn't it, when there's a flaw in the storyline? I think. Yeah,
if you're comparing Cash here to Line of Duty.
Exactly. I mean, he'd be a bent cop, wouldn't he? He'd be getting investigated as a bent copper. So he's not as bad as some of them, but he's some of his practices are questionable. Let's put it that way.
We need to teach more viewers about the Just Jenny It.
Just Jenny It, yeah. Just go with it. Jenny Aniston, as we say, if you're new to the pod, we say just Jenny It a lot of the time. Jennifer Aniston's film, just go with it. That's what we mean. Just go with it. Just roll with it. Just suck it up and
accept
enjoy.
everything, and you'll enjoy it way more.
You do enjoy it more. Yeah, absolutely. Yvonne tweeted to us, I can't understand why he's on the case. Is there no other cop in that cop shop? Good question. It's a good question, because these scenes, I think we mentioned on the main pod, you know, where he's saying to Rose, go and do the arrest because I'm a brother, I can't get involved. Rose is there, we know at least, and she took another cop, didn't she? She said, you're with me. This poor guy didn't have a name or a line, but he was in the background and he went off to arrest the guy with Rose. There are other people that could have done this, or he could have been the one with the camera and she could have done the interview, and then he would have been a bit more hands off. I think there's a lot of people saying this. For me, I was saying the same thing. I was criticizing it, and then we got that really cool scene, you know, with the Cash's fantasy of smashing his head on the table, and I was like, okay, I forgive it all because I enjoyed that so much.
And I mean, be honest, how many times have you watched it?
Twice. I have. I might watch it again at the weekend.
I've uploaded a reel.
I've only seen the shower bit once. I might watch that bit again. Yeah. Apologies. I've had a wine now, so I'm just chatting. Sharon says it's too risky because I said, is this a bigger risk? You know, is he taking too much of a risk compromising the case? And Sharon said it's too risky. It wouldn't happen in reality. It's going the same direction as Colby. Where's the old sergeant that used to be there, Sergeant McCarthy? And this triggered a memory because we talk about Emerson, don't we? Mike Emerson. And I completely forgot about McCarthy. So Sharon reminded me of a character it should be there, but they're not. You know, it's just a lot of people are noticing that this police station is a bit thin on the ground, and it seems a bit ridiculous in a way.
Like, who is Cash sort of reporting to? Like, who's in charge here? You know, if
he did get in trouble, who's the one that's going to reprimand him? Who's keeping him in check? Because Rose is his subordinate, isn't she? Like, he's higher up the ranks than Rose is.
Yeah.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Who's the gaffer?
Who's in charge around here? But and lots of people are saying this. Jacob
we did say, didn't we? Sorry, we did say on through our episode discussion, we feel like this has already unravelled any sort of conviction court case, and we fear that that might be where we end up, and that I just wonder what's going to happen with Cash and Felicity's relationship if that was to happen.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Doesn't bear thinking about.
It puts them back at square one. You know, we've come a long way with these two. So, oh God, I don't want to see it really, but yeah. Jacob on Twitter said, "How unprofessional is Yabby Creek Police Department? Flick was allowed to stay at the station, even though her suspected attacker was about to be arrested and taken back there. And then they met at the door, which was always going to happen. And now Cash is interviewing the guy. You know, so Jacob's sort of echoing what we said on the main pod. That why was she there? Why was she in the station when Cash? You know, he said to her, Rose has gone off to arrest the guy. Well, get Flick out of there then.
Yeah,
don't let us stand there in the middle of the bloody police station while he walks in with his smug rapist face. You know, it's
Yeah, that was insane. That
it was insane. I mean, it was for the audience. It was kind of like a moment. You know what I mean? It was, the high drums, but at the same time, it was like, oh, really? This wouldn't happen, surely. So there's that credibility, isn't there? There's that drama versus credible storyline.
Yeah, and that sometimes takes you out of the storyline, doesn't it? Because it's so far the other way. Yeah, you can't possibly sort of sink yourself in because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you're too busy picking your phone up to tweet.
Yeah, there's a fine line, isn't there? You just think you just lose it then, don't you? Because you're a bit like, oh, come on now.
Yeah,
you know, you can only accept so much, can't you? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
when it comes to things like that.
And then to sum up Cash for this week and what everyone's saying about Cash on social media, we've got David's tweet, and David said, Cash is the worst cop in the history of television.
Blimey.
David, you didn't hold back on your criticism there. I mean, I think Cash is feeling it this week. I think Cash has actually read your tweet, David, because on Friday's 6:30 p.m. episode, he's questioning himself whether he's in the right career, whether he should be a cop. You know, his own sister didn't trust him with this secret, that she was being blackmailed, and this extortion storyline was going on behind his back, and he's paid that 10 grand to her. You know, and now he's questioning, if my own sister can't trust me, if my own sister can't come to me with a problem, you know, am I a good cop? Should I be in this job? So I think David is actually asking himself if he's the worst cop ever at the moment as well. So remains to be seen what the outcome of that is. What about that Lyric album launch then? What do people think about that?
I can only imagine.
Lots of the same comments. I mean, oh God, how many Lyric comments have I read out in the last year to you in your Sound the Bay? Hundreds, probably. They're not massively popular, and we know this. They are Marmite. Some people do like them. Some people enjoy the storylines. Some people really, really, really don't like them, and they don't hold back on what they're saying. So Martin on Facebook said they're a wedding band, if that. Just like, ooh, ouch, that's a bit.
I've got
cutting,
Adam
isn't
Sandler
it?
in my mind now.
Oh, the wedding singer. I don't think they're as good as that. I quite enjoy the wedding singer.
Decent, it's decent, to be fair.
It's quite entertaining film, actually, especially when he has like the mental breakdown. Maybe that's what they need. They need a kind of mental breakdown mid gig, not just mid Q&A. Yeah. Chris says, I think this is a good point, actually, that place looks even smaller than Salt. You know, when they had the album launch at this, was it Palais de... What was it? Metro, that was it. It did look like a small little wine bar, didn't it? It was dark and nightclubish, but was it that much? We're led to believe by Justin, I think, that this is where all the music journalists hang out for some reason. So there's people there in the industry that will take note of the band, that, you know, that would be a good thing for them. And presumably those people would not be hanging out in Salt on a Friday night to watch Lyric play. So I think it's the location of the venue that we're supposedly meant to believe is good for their career, rather than the actual venue itself, because it did look not dissimilar to Salt in terms of size, and actually there weren't that many people there either compared to a Salt gig.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And the venue they played Battle of the Bands at seemed huge in comparison, actually.
It did, and that crowd was much bigger, wasn't it? Yeah.
But that was many bands, so I suppose.
Yeah. But it's more exposure, isn't it? It's more, even if they don't come to see you, they've come to see one of the other bands, they might enjoy your set while they're there. So
true.
Yeah. You got a good point, Chris. I'll take that on board. And then, some of the comments of people saying they want them out of the show, really. So Sheila says, let's hope they go on a world tour soon.
Sheila?
Sheila, yeah.
Sheila or Sheila?
Sheila. It's actually spelled, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. It's actually spelled SHELAGH. I'm assuming that's what. It's not like Sheila, Australia. But yeah, Sheila wants to see the back of them. I think she says, let's hope they go on a world tour soon. I think that means let's get rid. That's how I'm reading that.
Well, we're expecting it, aren't we? In our predictions, we think that they might be unraveling. So let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruth says the band spoil this program.
I see this a lot online, you know. Not just on comments here, I see it on forums and all sorts. People are saying they've stopped watching because of them and all sorts.
Crikey.
You see this a lot. Yeah.
That's a strong comment, isn't it? Because they don't take up, when they've got a storyline, they take up quite a bit of the episode, but they don't take up the whole week, do they? I mean, you can kind of, especially if you're watching on catch up on My5, you can fast forward through their scenes and still have plenty of other things to watch. So it's a shame, really, that people have given up on the whole show, because they've missed so many other storylines that have been so good that they could have enjoyed.
Yeah. But sometimes what they say and what they actually do is two different things, aren't they? I suppose online.
There's hate watching, isn't there? I've learned about this recently, where people watch something, even though they hate it, they watch the whole thing and then they tweet how much they hate it, and it's like you've just spent half an hour of your time watching something you hate. And now you're tweeting about it as well. So...
And you'll be back tomorrow like clockwork. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, there is an element of that as well, I think. Craig on Facebook wants to know why Justin is so integral to the band's success when he's been AWOL for ages. So Craig says, I think this is pathetic. All the time that Justin was away doing more important things, now he's back and he thinks he's indispensable.
Well, he did book them at the Palais Metro.
He did, but it was 2 hours from now. Stress. Everything with Justin is either all or nothing, isn't it? It's a
to be fair, I'll tell you what the difference is. Justin put the money up for it.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is.
That's true. He did put his money where his mouth was. He
paid for it.
Yeah.
Was it Craig? Did you say Craig?
Craig, yeah.
Craig. He paid for it, Craig. The difference, what he brings is the wallet.
He does bring the money, yeah, which Lyric do not have. So.
No, but you're right. There's nothing he can do that Kirby can't do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think. Well, yeah, but I think her nose is a bit out of joint.
Well,
we've got feel something going on.
We've got some comments on Kirby actually. Now you've mentioned her, so Tracy says there's clearly something going on with Kirby, and I can't wait to find out what her issue is. There must be more. I think I was saying this last week on the main pod. There must be something more to this. We've seen other people go off the deep end, and we forgive them because we go, right, well, Flick was going through that horrible storyline where she was drinking airing cupboard booze, but she'd been through a horrible time. Her wedding had been literally blown up, so we forgave her, didn't we? You can forgive characters for acting horribly and lashing out and being nasty and being contradictory and everything else. You kind of forgive them when they're going through something awful, and you go, well, of course they're feeling like that because X, Y, and Z reason. With Kirby, I'm still trying to work out what the hell is their problem. So, like Tracy's saying, there's something seriously going on with it, but what is it? And it's time we found out, I think.
I agree. And it's not just I got hit in the head with a surfboard years ago and didn't tell you.
I don't think it is. I don't think it can be. Or this Bob thing that she says. I wasn't over Bob.
Oh, don't set me off again. Oh,
okay, won't mention it. But there's lots of people saying the same thing. So Anne on Facebook says, I don't like Kirby. Wish she would get over herself. Tina says, Kirby's just hang on, I'm going to read that again because I think there might be a typo in this. Kirby, just be okay now. She thinks the world revolves around her. She needs a reality check. Theo should just forget he had anything to do with her. I thought Rose was her best friend, but now it seems to be Mackenzie. There's a lot of things going on there, Tina. So, yeah, she does think the world revolves around her. Theo should forget about her. And, she's leaning on Mackenzie now with that whole, surfing storyline, opening up to Mackenzie about what happened to her and why she hadn't surfed. We haven't seen many Rose and Kirby scenes for a while, actually, because Rose is obviously busy with Marley and Marley's mum at the moment.
She had a mad with her at one time as well, Kirby, didn't she?
She did, about the Sunning Organics thing, because she wasn't investigating it fast enough for her. And
burning all the bridges, this girl.
Yes, and Karen says the same. Karen says, I like Kirby, but boy, does she need to get over herself. Theo is far more mature than she is. I love the actress. I just don't like the current incarnation of her character. I think that's a really nice way of putting it, Karen, actually. So we like Angelina. We liked Kirby before all this happened, but the current incarnation of her character, everyone's finding difficult to get on board with. And I think it is that lack of reasoning as to why she's changed.
What is it people liked about her, though? Because I feel like out of all the band, she's the one I didn't like.
I didn't not like her. I just felt like, I think we've been saying for a while on the pod that we didn't feel like we really knew her because she was just Theo's girlfriend. She was just the lyric keyboardist. I didn't actively dislike her before all of this. I just didn't feel like I knew who she was. And now that we've got to know her, I'm like, I don't like her because they've changed. She wasn't like this when she first came in the show. She wasn't this. She was quite level-headed and organised, and she was a bit of the mum of the band. She'd get them all motivated. Come to rehearsals. We need to get this thing done. But now she's just like, she's got an attitude. She's got a chip on her shoulder. And I don't really understand why. And normally there's a whole story arc with this, isn't there? So somebody goes from being breezy to being difficult, temperamental, obnoxious, but there's a reason for it, and I can't pin at all what the difference is with her, why she like this all of a sudden. And I think that's what a lot of people are saying. So Lorraine says, I'm sorry, but I think Kirby ought to stop having relationships with members of the band. This is the second one that we know about, both of which have hit the rocks and potentially damaged the band. Can she not learn her lesson?
Preach.
Yeah, absolutely. Kerry says, Kirby's become very defensive, but there is no definite reason why. I can't understand what Theo has done wrong. The situation with Andrew was no different than her helping Marilyn. Unfortunately, this whole scene has shown that Kirby is selfish when it comes to wanting the limelight all for herself. It's a good point, actually, isn't it? Because it's the whole thing that we talked about on the main pod. I think you said her nose is out of joint because Justin's back now calling the shots, and it was Kirby. So, you know, is that one of the reasons why she's like this? Because, you know, she feels like he's coming and taken over from her. Is that one of the reasons?
I think she enjoyed the whole power, you know, of making decisions and things.
And just to end on Kirby then, so Jackie says, right, she's faced her fears with the sea. Now it's time to face reality and tell Theo how she feels, and she needs to grow up. FFS.
Hallelujah.
And I think that sums up pretty much every comment that we've had about Kirby.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.